A stateswoman, a vocal social activist, and the 24th Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, she became India's first woman to join the officer ranks of the Indian Police Services. I, along with I.I.M.U.N, am humbled to call you on stage, ma'am, Dr. Kiran Bedi. Our next guest is an emotion, Queen of Indian track and field, the golden girl of Indian athletics, breaker of stereotypes and records when we didn't even know that they existed. She's the first nominated member of Rajya Sabha in history to become the vice chairperson of Rajya Sabha, an advisor to I.I.M.U.N, and the elected president of the Indian Olympic Association, unopposed, Ma'am P.T. Usha. The next person I'm going to call on stage is a friend. And she's someone who belongs in history books, if she's not already in them. I'm so happy and proud for everything that she's done, and this is like a personal moment of joy for me to be able to talk about her. She's a visionary filmmaker, trailblazing producer. She's made India proud on the world map, and when you see her, you'll know who she is. Known for films like Lunchbox, Masan, and many movies, she's always making movies on social issues with a very light touch. She's the producer of the 2023 Academy Award-winning documentary short film, The Elephant Whisperers. We all danced with her. We all were joining her while she was on stage in that red sari at the Oscar stage. Oscar winner of our very own country, Guneet Monga, Kapoor. Guneet, today is World Elephant Day.
Yes.
And I think because we're all women here, I would like to discuss some elephants in the room. Especially in the lives of all of us women. Hum sabki life mein bahut sare, conditionings, and let's talk about feminism, and let's talk about vulnerabilities, and how the three of you have stood up for all these things. You've stood up for living a life free of conditionings, and even though you may have encountered everything possibly you could to stop you, I see all three of you as somebody who probably had blinkers on and just kept going. And that's what I want to talk to all of you about, for all of these young kids and also for myself. So I'm going to start with the one question that always comes up whenever women and high-achieving women sit together, and that is, what is your take on feminism? And there's so many misconceptions around feminism. Feminism is always sort of seen as this dangerous device for women's supremacy, and there are various stories around it. I want to know what you have to say about feminism and what it truly means to you. Ma'am, Kiran Bedi, can start with you.
I don't know what feminism is. We need to Google for that. Go Google. But are you hearing me? I don't know what feminism is. I only know what an independent woman is. All I know is when a woman gets the right kind of environment, education, and opportunities, the sky's the limit. That's all I know. And then she stands up for herself and she stands up for others. If you call it feminism, perfect. Otherwise, for me, a woman of our kind who've got the opportunities and made the best of it. And today, making the best of it, giving the best back, and then standing up for causes. That's for me. Empowered woman. And if you want to put it in feminism, I don't think I would.
Ma'am, first of all, I'm not a speaker, and I always love to run. I also don't know what is feminism, but through sports, see, for me, speed, endurance, and strength, these three compete together. So maybe we can't fight with men for strength or endurance or speed. So in athletics, women and men competition. So if you want to achieve something, maybe somebody there to push you, maybe men also, and even men also. If you are achieving good, somebody will be there, majority. I'm telling my story only. So I always believe on Ardhanarisha Sankalpa. Thank you.
I think we are all born with patriarchy, And feminism is something that we learn as life unfolds. We're born with so many rules, regulations, things that are told to us. And feminism is the power to question what we can accept, how far we can push the boundaries in every conversation, in every sphere of life. I think feminism is standing up for yourself and to be able to freely communicate and show up with your integrity and your ideas and not being judged for your gender, for your age, for your height, for your weight, for the way you speak, for equal pay, for the amount of work that you do. So feminism is just walking through life with your integrity and honesty. And I think I learn some bit of feminism almost every day, because nobody told me that this is okay to do or this is not. I just negotiate my day every day, show up with integrity, honesty, and that for me is feminism.
You know, they say the secret impresses no one. The trick you use for it is everything. So मैं आप तीनों से जानना चाहती हूँ कि and I knew it. I knew that when I ask you feminism क्या है, I would get the answer कि what is it? पता ही नहीं है क्या है. We did what we had to do. Because that's the kind of woman or person or human being that actually does something. They don't think so much about labels and blockages and things that are stopping them. They just do what they have to do. Exactly जैसे आप बस भागे and you ran towards victory. So I want to know from you all, you can't tell us what the secret is, but you have to tell us how have you been able to do what you did? I mean, you did what you did and you continue to do what you do, but for the benefit of the young hearts and minds that are sitting here, please tell us, because there's a lot of conditioning that goes in and tries to pull you down and tries to put you in a label. So what is the trick for them to, when they don't believe in themselves, maybe on days that they don't, how do they stand up for themselves? What do they do? Some words, because I know that those ears are dying to hear it and they'll remember those words when they need it.
Checking 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No, it is. Are you hearing me? Yes, now you are. It had a lag. Look, I only follow one mantra in my life. And now, it's not now. It's almost from the age of 9, when I was sent to a tennis court by my father. And I started to play. And I played every day of my life till I entered the service. And I could not compete in tennis anymore because now the job was more demanding. That was a priority. What did I do? And then I joined the Indian Police Service in the age of 22. Prior to that, from 20 to 22, I taught in a college for graduate classes in political science. While teaching, I sat for the examination. From the age of 22, I joined the Indian Police Service. I left it in 2007. And now from 2007 till 2023, I followed one mantra. I could have comfortably retired when I left the service in 2007. I don't know, I always looked for what I can do better today. That's all I did. And that's the mantra of my life. I've done this yesterday. What can I do better today? And I do my own stretch without any pressure. I don't go under pressure. And I do what I think I'm capable of, and I stretch myself on my capability. And that's the way I want to live my life throughout. I only pray for two things to the Almighty. Give me energy and give me the wisdom to use my energy right. Give me the energy and give me the wisdom to do. Once you do that and say grateful for the energy so far, because I don't know about the energy tomorrow. So once you're grateful in life, gratitude in life, it takes you to a larger giving. I've been a woman who believes in great gratitude and constantly giving. And what do I give you? What am I giving you today? My very precious day. I don't give it away like this. And I don't stretch my day like this the way you did. I have a time schedule. I follow a time schedule. I've done an exception for you. So what I'm saying is, the more you respect yourself and know who you are, and you decide that I would do it better than yesterday, or I sustain myself for what I did right yesterday, I continue to do my better. So the key is, how do you manage your energy on a daily basis? You can waste it, you can invest it. My mantra is invest my energy so that I can live better. Prepare it for a better tomorrow when tomorrow becomes a today.
And actually, my time, there is no social media or no TV, nothing like that. But I could win 103 medals for our country. I started my sports at the age of 13. When I was very active in my school days. And then my teacher of my, physical education teacher of my school, he made me to run the champion of the district. She was in my school. She was in 7th standard. So somewhere or other I could not participate in the competition when I was in 4th or 5th, 7th. 7th I participated in the competition and I won the race. Whatever I participate, I won the race. Afterwards, Kerala government started first time a sports division in our states. So it's all because of my parents. They encouraged me. They had sent me to the sports school selection and I could rank everything first, whatever event I participated. Then my sports started. My passion is because my time will start in when I was 13 years, 5 o'clock to and 6:30 I start doing training and then I go to school and come back and again school and come back and then training in the evening 4:30 to 6:30 like that. So I started winning the medal. Then every year I want to break my records. So when I was in 14 years, I used to break under 16 record. When I was in under 16, I used to run in the women's section and won the race also. That is why I have, in 16 years, I participated in the Moscow Olympics because of my winning in women's section. See, now for new generation, under 18, under 20, then comes women's section. Lot of facilities are there. But I am fully focused on sports. I always want to win and I always want to break my time. So that is why I could do fully focused and with dedication and discipline. I have done training. That is why I could do well. So I wanted to say to the new generation, whatever they take, they should be full focused on that and should do hard work on it. Thank you.
I just want to share a little story. You know, I come from a very, very humble family. To be a film producer, you imagine you need to come from money or a family. Matlab, to give you context, I and my parents used to stay in outskirts of Delhi in Faridabad in 5,000 ghar ka rent. So I come from a very humble family. So then to come to Bombay, stay in an apartment with, 5 girls, share 2-bedroom. That is how I started and I wanted to be a producer. Now how I have done what I have done, I just want to share one little story. The minute I turned 18, my humble father was like, he also came from, small time businesses, property consultation or whatever in Delhi that he could manage. And he came up with a grand plan कि मैं अपनी बेटी को ना इंश्योरेंस एजेंट बना देता हूँ. And the minute I turned 18, he asked me कि तुम जाकर इंश्योरेंस पढ़ लो. And उसके लिए आपको स्कूल जाकर एग्ज़ाम देना पड़ता है. And 3 months I had enrolled into Ritu Nanda School of Insurance in GK2 in Delhi. And वो 3 महीने, his grand scheme for me was कि मैं अपने दोस्तों को इंश्योरेंस बेच दूंगा और इसको हर महीने, हर साल उसका इंश्योरेंस का पैसा मिल जाएगा. तो इसका लाइफ सिक्योर हो जाएगा. So that was his big scheme for me. And as I went into that insurance school very reluctantly, I came out of it being an insurance agent. And I joined Tata AIG and trust me, I was only excited about stationery. you know, colorful pen and you have a visiting card on your name. It was real shit, you know, like it's like your first profession. But what I learned there and why I am telling you this story, because they told us, ki see, you will go to your people that you know who also come from humble backgrounds. आप उनसे insurance बोलोगे कि देखो, anyways people are living hand to mouth. आप उनको बोलोगे ऊपर से ये premium दे दो, because tomorrow if something happens to you, then your family will be taken care of. So to sell somebody a future and secure and ask money right now, it's such a far-fetched ambition, and it's hard. So they taught me one mantra, which I have stayed, and I would request everybody to just hear it, that 10 people will say no to you, and then one person comes around and says yes. And that taught me to celebrate my no's. And I have gone around making independent films, made around 40 of them, and I have only celebrated no's. I enter rooms and I was like, jaldi mana kar do bas, because my yes is coming. So personal life, professional life, my mantra in life has been fatafat mana kar do. You know, like, let's not waste time. So I then started, a switch happened in my brain where I started celebrating the no's. Because then I did not take failure to my heart. I was like, oh, my yes is coming. Let's go little thoda aage, thoda idhar, thoda udhar. And that is the fundamental basis of my career as a producer.
You know, that's really amazing, because that brings me to something else that, I mean, we are talking about elephants in the room concerning women, and I feel that another thing that, you know, is always brought up whenever women are put in any spot or when we are given leadership roles or anything, is that women are too vulnerable, they're too emotional, they overreact very easily. And of course, I want to know what you have to say about it, but what you have just spoken about goes to show that we can actually use our vulnerability. I feel women and our vulnerabilities are strength. So we can take on a lot more than men can. They just don't want us to, right? I want to know from all of you, if you want to talk about it, vulnerability. You know, that's something that every girl out there, because of emotions, and you know, we are nurturing by nature, and hence we look out for the other person in front of us, and many times we end up sacrificing, and we end up doing a lot of things that we may not do for ourselves, but hum apne, you know, people we love or people we care for, unke liye karte hain. And as you said that, you know, all I saw was that I am an independent woman. So I would like to know from you how should they see vulnerability as a strength? Because it is there and it is brought up a lot. How should they, because they're starting up or they will start up, how do they activate that vulnerability chakra and make use of it like a strength and not as something that pulls them down? Whoever wants to talk about it.
Thank you. I will go for it. I think you go through the cycle of life. You know, as young people, you start out कि आप ना किसी को you try and seek a mentor. You try and give the power or validation to somebody else. Be it parent, be it a sibling, be it a friend, be it a colleague, be it a boss. You know, so that's the where you actually give away your power. You know, because अगर ये इंसान बोलेगा ना कि हमने अच्छा किया, मतलब हम best हैं, पूरी दुनिया है. You know, and that's where we get vulnerable. You know, so I think as you go through life, you see rejection, you see success, you see failure, you see highs and lows, you know. And I think what Kiran ma'am said, that at one point of time you learn gratitude. And that kind of brings faith, self-faith. And some sort of, I don't know, spiritual leaning or just faith, not even faith in the universe, but faith in yourself. I think that comes down to parenting, and then that comes down to life of choice, that I have faith in myself and my truth and my hard work. And that nobody can take away from you. जो यहाँ है अंदर और जो यहाँ है वो कोई नहीं लेके जा सकता. So that takes away jealousy. That takes away so much of pressure. And that also brings gratitude. So the power of gratitude, the power of journaling, saying thank you, you actually control the power of your own self and your own thought process. And that's the time you stop being vulnerable to the world. You can be vulnerable to yourself. You can be vulnerable to your universe, to your almighty. And you can learn to love yourself selflessly. And that is the only way to control and have power in your life, your destiny, your faith, and not to hand it away to anyone. So yeah, and then you just show up with your faith.
Look, when I was growing up, I saw the vulnerabilities. That is what made me choose my path. It was growing up with sense of awareness. And that credit of being aware of what is around me and what lies ahead of me as a young girl, the credit goes to my parents. And I give you an example. 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, me and my sisters were often taken to ostentatious weddings during my time. And I was that young as a teenager, which happens in another way now. But that time, we went for these huge displays of weddings, and there was a great display of dowry. There was jewelry, there were great clothing, there were utensils, there was no frigiders, there was no fridge those days, no televisions, there was Bush radios, Murphy radios, and silver was that was the vulnerability. And I used to ask my parents, why? Why is this happening, Mummy? Why is the girl's family has to spend all this? Why? And they jokingly wanted to say, well, those women who don't educate themselves enough, or they don't become self-reliant. And we sisters resolved within ourselves, we shall never be dependent, financially or decision-making. We shall not be. So as I grew up, and I'm growing up at the time when dowry was not an offense. Display of dowry was an asset because why at that time? All this was because that was the only security parents could give to their children, to their daughters, is jewelry, huge amount of jewelry. And those days called the Istri Dhan, and then the legal issues came up when Istri Dhan was stolen away from her and the dowry deaths started to happen. I grew up seeing this vulnerability, that anytime anybody, any dependence, man or a woman, any form of dependence of this kind, particularly for a woman, financial dependence and decision making, and her own courageous or her own lack of self-belief that she can do it for herself, was her vulnerability. And that is how others would exploit it. And I had resolved, and that is the reason I never worked for the government. I worked with the government. I was always standing up to my services matters when it went to what rightly needed to be done. Why? Because I was no more vulnerable even in my service. I had a backup of a law degree. I had a backup of my PhD. I knew if I would say thank you to the Indian Police Service one day, I would take up the legal profession. Or I could go back to teaching. I deliberately created these backups. But I was always very service-oriented and working with and not working for. I've never ever said I worked for the government. I always said I worked with the government because that is what closest to my heart was. So friends, the vulnerability, that is your own SWOT analysis. Every woman, girl present here, or a boy, check your SWOT. Look at your strengths. Look at your weaknesses. Look at your opportunities and look at your threats. Start working on your weaknesses, whatever they are, whatever your dependencies are, and you will see, you will start strengthening, remain strengthened, you'll address your threats and your insecurities, and you'll grow up to be independent. And remember, it's not a selfish living. When you grow up very evolved, very aware, constantly in a sense of gratitude, you're a giver. And the higher position you get, more empowered you get, the greater scope for you to give. And that's what makes life meaningful when you grow up to be good.
when you do work with honesty and and when you want to win the competition and all those things, but uh, people say on bad on you, especially sports people used to get lot, especially women used to get lot emotional feelings, or maybe with family something happens and they also lot emotional, and with love husband also if you had something then emotional, and for daughter or son also. But I think men will not show outside, but women will show outside the emotional feelings. And for me, lot of incidents when I do running. When I was 14 years, and first time I think Kerala is organized the national meet in Trivandrum, and everybody knows that I am going to win the race. But I don't know, when you organize the competition, your home state, you will get lot of home support, and official side also you will get lot of supports. But when I started, have gone for the start, the left girl took the foul, and the official made on in my name. And the right girl also had taken foul, and he is made on my name. But I have not taken foul. But the third one, he said out. I was so emotional. I'm only 13 years. But with lot of feelings, I took my block and I went out. But my coach went to the finishing area and he was started fighting. Before that, people crowded. Lot of people were there at that time to see the competitions. And they had come out from the stadium and they sat there. And I have not done the, PT Usha has not done the fall, but if she don't and will not allow to do the competition. So they shouted. So for me, I got lot of energy and they made me to run the competition and I won the race. Lot of incidents for me like that. And once in before the Bangkok Asian Games, and it was Lucknow, the synthetic track, the final trials for the Asian Games. But when I went for the qualification round, all girls have withdrawn the competition. So it is not possible me to run alone and qualify, no. So it is a very much insult for me. But whenever it happened for me and feelings, but I used to get more strength and I want to do the next time I want to win the race, and I make my mind like that and I have done lot of training and lot of problem in my times. But I managed all those things, and because if you do training with honesty and hard work and full on dedication and all those things, you will forgive everything and you will show the performance. I wanted no generation should do that.
Now this is taking a cue from अभी जो हम बात कर रहे थे about vulnerability, उसी के बारे में मैं थोड़ा और पूछना चाहूँगी, because बहुत बार होता है as young kids, as young girls, you know, there is self-doubt, and then when you grow up, it goes into a space of how do I balance. आपने अभी बात की about family and how you get emotional, you know, and certain decisions could be lacking, and you could have a very different way of looking at things just because you're emotional. I want to ask you, how do you strike that balance? How do you strike that, call it a work life or personal life balance, but how do you strike that balance when you want to keep doing what you want to do? You have everything that it takes, you have the focus, you have the dedication, but when that seed of self-doubt creeps in and, you know, guilt, a very big thing that comes on. For the high school students, for students who are going to get into the you know, world, the big bad world, what do they do? What do they hear from you that can help them to strike that balance?
I think every life, we are all uniquely different. I can only give you how I balanced, or how you can, here's an idea, but every life circumstances are very different. Growth is different, environment is different, quality of education is different. So therefore, having given this caveat, all I can say is, life is one life. It's one life. You sleep at the right time, you get up at the right time, you eat at the right time, you work at the right time. It's all about your management. It's always keeping the purpose, what is my priority of the day? Focusing on the priority of the day You move your other things around it. It's like a professional. How does a CEO or manager do a job? He manages his resources in the office, organizes his office, and he's successful. He manages his time, he delegates a lot, he uptrains, upskills, he buys, and he does what he's a leader. In life, even after office, if you remain a leader. So where is the difference? What is leadership at home? You delegate at home. You don't make everybody dependent on you. You delegate. You train, you upskill, you hire, and you do only what you alone can do. That's called organizational skill. Now, when does this organizational skill come? If you grow up in an organized way, methodical way. So, and also keeping in mind, what do you want most in life? Like for me, my profession was first. My profession was first. Everything moved around it. Had to, because if I don't move other things around it, I would be collapsing within, because that's the purpose of my life, is to make a success in my service. That's it. So it got all my energy into it. Took all my risks into it, because that was important. Everything else moved around it. I organized support systems. I paid for support systems. I delegated it. I kept my family very small. I could manage it. Hopefully, because even with one child, managing is no ordinary task these days, with a full-time working of my kind. So what is the support systems created? So you delegate, support, buy, hire, organize. But make sure that your purpose doesn't get affected. Your energy does not get diluted. That's the way I did it. It's one day. Sometimes I took work home. It took work home because that's my life. But the family respects it, because it's organized in such a way that they know what is important for their child or their wife, or whether my spouse knew it or other. The point here is, this is important, that you have to have clarity. I'll give you one example and then I'll pass it on to Guneet. I remember when I was getting trained, and in 1973, Punjab police was training us, because the cadre was Union territories. So we all youngsters, I was the only girl that time, and we had all these boys, we were sent to Punjab police for training. Punjab police, which is known for ruthless training. So what did they do? We were all riding a horse. We were doing horse riding. And after doing Mount Abu with saddles, we did horse riding with saddles and the comfort. Punjab police took off all the carpets, all the saddles, and they made us ride bareback. Imagine riding a horse bareback. When you bareback ride, what happens? Because all your inner thighs are rubbing against the skin of the horse. So, because when you're riding it, this portion is clutching the horse, and this inner thighs are rubbing against the skin of the horse. And ours are soft. Ours are human skins. They're not animal skin. And all of us were riding. I don't know what happened with the men, but I know what happened with me. My inside thighs were bruised, completely bruised. And I could only walk like this. Punjab police said, this is the only training we give you, and you've got to be hardened like that. Well, that's their way of hardening us. And my home was next city away. And that was my in-laws' home. And my parents' home was also in Amritsar. And here I am bruised. I can't walk straight. I never even once complained. Never told my mother-in-law or anybody that, BG, I can't walk straight. I said, ye hamari training hai. This is our training. And why? If I'd complained that, oh, I'm having a lot of bruises and it's painful, they would have said, leave it. Who asked you to go in? You need not go on. I never said that. I always talked about the value of the service, the love of training, the joy of hard work, and the point that this was going on. That's what I'm saying. So what was your question?
I was talking about self-doubt, like on days when you are...
Exactly. Yeah. I never let doubt come in, because it's my choice. Look, whatever you take by choice, keep the doubt out, because that's your choice. Or get the doubt centered and clear it up. and deal with it. Question is, you must learn to deal with these little doubts which creep in your mind. Now, that's for the little children. That's why I said do your SWOT on a regular basis. Maintain your own journal. Do a little self-talk, a self-audit, so that you keep clearing out your mind of these little doubts and keep getting back your courage. That's what I did. I never complained, and I did a lot of self-talk. And that's what I do even now. Even now, it's constantly self-talk and self-audit, which keeps clearing the little doubts, and just pray for all goes well.
You should believe on yourself when you prepare for your competition. And for me, when I go for my competition and all those things, my coach used to tell that when you have to run like 10 200 meters in 26 seconds so that you can win the race in the internationally. Every time I wanted to run only 26, I don't want to run 25.5 or I don't want to run 26.5, but always practice on doing 26 seconds. And maybe when I do all the training and all those things, I may get giddiness, I may vomit, and a lot of problem will be there and tiredness, but always try to do my best for training. So I used to make my confidence always build up doing training with confidence to get like that only. So even in our time, when you do training and you are in a good form, but when you go outside the country, always some other coach will come with you, travel with you. So you may not get confident because your personal coach will be knowing your problem and all those things. It will motivate you to perform well there. So I was young. I think I was at 17 years or 18 years. That time, I had gone and met the Prime Minister of India at that time, Indira Gandhi. And she because I have talked to everybody, even lower level, but nobody has allowed to send my coach to outside the country with me. But so I took like confident. No, I know that our Prime Minister will help me to do. So I have gone to her, and she has allowed me to accompany coach with me. And afterwards, every time, whenever I go outside the country, and my coach used to travel. So whenever I do training, with full your training, I made confident on myself. And then now, see, now for our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, he is doing good for, before going for a competition also, he used to motivate the players. Prime Minister is motivating the players. And after winning the medal, he is congratulating the players. That also you will get confidence. So both first and now the Prime Minister, I always used to get lot of energy. And what I want to say my students is that self-confidence is important, and you believe on yourself and do hard work. And when you prepare yourself good properly, then you will achieve everything. Thank you.
I think we are the Instagram generation. You know, we are just waiting to take self-doubt from everywhere. You know,
Validation.
Huh?
Validation, external.
Yeah, so itna zyada over information, over stimulation, and you know, it's constant. So my advice for balancing life, for work-life balance, for all these self-doubt, for all these bigger questions which are rightfully asked, but on day-to-day basis, how do you do this? For me, the answer has been therapy. And I cannot stress on that more, because on daily basis, आप failure देखोगे, आप insane success भी देखोगे. तो ना उसमें दिमाग खराब होना, ना उसमें failure में अपने आप को इतना खो देना, and जो भी आपके पास रोज problems हैं, I think there is therapy, and I cannot stress more for young people to be able to use that to be able to use and excel in their life and get ahead of complications that we hold ourselves back from. So we then amplify them in our head and we then show up to them in a complicated way. It's better to sit down and do therapy when those services are available. One should do that, and the sooner you start, the better it is. Because sometimes our parents are also products of their conditioning and their outlook. And so is everybody a product of their conditioning. And then you're asking some really pertinent questions. So rather than be coming out rude, coming out offensive, do therapy, understand it at a deeper level, and gain that knowledge, and then show up in a better way for yourself. So for me, that has helped a lot.
You know, I want to keep talking to you all because, like, there's one thing that I think I'm going to squeeze in that question, although I'm at the last question and it talks about I.I.M.U.N. But as a woman, as a working woman, I myself find that it's very important for women to build up other women. It's very important for us to support each other, and it does not happen a lot. It happens for the few of us who find somebody and we, then make a circle of women and we support each other. But largely, for all of you, I mean, a lot of you have gone, but some of you who are here, you're going to take up jobs and you'll be in all sectors, in every department. I do feel like the men want us to keep fighting on the side, and we keep doing that, and we keep wasting a lot of energy. I want you to give an advice to the youngsters, to these young girls who are going to be sitting in very important positions tomorrow, and they are going to be coming across other girls, other women, and they may not agree to many things that they do or don't. There's constant judgment, there's constant pitting women against each other. It happens all the time. Some of us break out of it and we don't care about it and we move on and we put our heart into our work. But a lot of us end up in that twisted cycle. And please shed some light or say something. I know you do that brilliantly. You collaborate with a lot of brilliant women. And I know, I'm sure for a fact that you have had a lot of support from various women. And it's important for us to hear from all of you how to do it. If you can put it together in some words, how can women support each other and how important it is?
Okay. I think there is no other way. I said this in the speech, at the Oscar speech, that, don't wait for approval, create your own table, create your own tribe, and then sit on it. So double down on your tribe. The more we celebrate each other, the more world will celebrate us. The more we doubt, thank you. The more we doubt, the only doubt will increase. So I think there is no other way. I think again, patriarchy. I mean, it's years of conditioning ki there are lesser jobs, there are lesser opportunities, so you have to fight with another to get that. All this is lies. It's pure lies. There is enough work, there is enough jobs. For honest, hardworking people, there is enough and more opportunities available, growth is available, incredible paths are available. And I think how you can be better, like ma'am said, how you can be better every day in your skill, whatever is your skill, whatever you have to work hard for, how you can be better, you can only work in yourself and be grateful, find a tribe, double down on it. And especially for women, the more you celebrate the other, the more you are celebrated. So I think that is the core of understanding. So we are not competition, we are collaborators, we are growing together, walking together, and there is enough and more. And live in a state of abundance than live in a state of scarcity. So all these basic fundas in life get clear with therapy and with life and, unfolding and more experiences. And in my spirituality, in Gurbani, I heard one day that एक दिन कबीर जी रो रहे थे. तो क्यों रो रहे थे? क्योंकि निंदक मर गया. So all this life we have spent saying, oh, this one's saying bad thing, that one's saying bad thing about me, that one. And then we spend so much energy on that. But you start celebrating the nindak or anybody who said bad thing, it'll actually not impact you. Because you know your truth and you can also switch your brain. Because I have digressed from the question, but I just think that at the core, we are not each other's competition, we are companions. So yeah, there's no other way. Believe women, believe
We're all
your
walking each other home.
So what was your question?
I just want to know, how do, they're all going to go out there and take up jobs and sit in positions where, if for a foot in the door, you have to put another woman down. It happens a lot, because primarily most of the places are men's world. And, for you to be a part of that group, you've got to kick one out. And like Guneet said, you don't have to do it. There's enough and there's abundance for all of us. I personally would like that message to go across to young girls out there, and who better than all of you.
Look, you're all working for happiness, aren't you? When you go to work, what are you working for? What are you working for? Happiness in the end. And happiness will not come without you raising your own self. You raise yourself from being a woman to a person. Raise yourself. And that will happen only when you have your inner confidence, inner courage, skilled yourself. Then don't look at man or a woman whom you're grooming. You groom anybody in need. You raise yourself. I made an effort to raise myself and embrace all. When you embrace all, what are you getting? You're getting the joy and happiness. After that, if somebody gossips here or somebody gossips there, your inner confidence, courage, that will be fringes. And that will happen. That's bound to happen. Everybody is not there to applaud you. Just as everybody is not there to pull you down. You only applaud yourself. You only be your own auditor. That's the challenge. And a stage is coming when the world is needing person leadership, not man or a woman. It's needing a humane leadership, which grooms anybody in need. And that's exactly the word collaborative. Women by nature are collaborators. They're born collaborators, otherwise they won't be loving mothers, because mother collaborates, grooms and collaborates. And therefore I would say, if you want to take away something, no more men or women, you are persons. And in the personhood, anybody in need, you are there for them. Why would you do it naturally for women? Because you're a woman. I don't need to be told what women's problems are. I don't need to be told. I can consider that, feel for her, and sometimes even scold her. I scold her sometimes. You are the one who's allowing this problem to yourself. First correct yourself before you do complain to others. And so therefore I would say humanity today, world now is now leading humane and human leadership. Men or women, doesn't matter. Rise above your genders now. But for that, inner confidence and self-courage is important. Keep inculcating that at every base. Don't let doubts come into your mind, and address those doubts. If they are, take your time out. Do your own thinking. Then spend time to yourself on reflection. Or as I said, reflection is important. Quiet time is important. Self-audit time is important. Not dependence only on friends. However, if you have you are lucky, you got family and friends who you can go and chat it out with without dependence. Without dependence, because you can be blackmailed after that. So do maximum self-talk, the better. Then thereafter you will be not just called a woman officer. You will be called the officer, the leader. That's the point. I think that's what we do.
Thank you so much. On that note, lastly, I just want to know if you have anything to say to all the students who work with I.I.M.U.N, everybody who's trying to, move things in the direction of uniting nations in India in a very Indian way. Is there anything you'd like to say for the work that they are doing and your association with them, just before we leave?
I would say go back with the vision of 2047. Each youngster, draw your own vision of India 2047. Draw that vision. Draw that vision every day. You are celebrating 100 years. What kind of India you want at that time? Draw that vision and you contribute to that. Don't say you contribute, I contribute. Begin with your own contribution when each one of you contributes towards social responsibility. Social responsibility. As I said, if every family grooms their boys, doesn't have a different set of rules for boys and girls, every family will have equally grown-up boys and girls, equally responsible, equally courageous. So if you look at your own homes and your own selves, I think that will be India of that 2047 will be an India of your dreams. Start dreaming of what kind of India I want and what is it I can do, not what you and I can do, what government can do. No, no, no. You do. You will be forming the society and maybe you will be also, you are a part of the government. You just don't stop at only casting your vote. Your responsibility begins after you've cast your vote as to what is my leadership giving me. And that's when networks help him. And I think you are doing an amazing work of being such an amazing, powerful, inspired network. You can come together individually and collectively for the dream of 2047.
When you join in I.I.M.U.N, I think that maybe some of them will be shy to speak. After a week, they started angering it. That much change. Please continue that and my best wishes.
I just want to reinforce that this is the best time of your life. You will make the best friendships. You will be wonderful leaders. Do as many internships. Freely ask your questions. You have all the power. The friendships that will happen now will last you a lifetime, will not be agenda driven, will not be transactional. Enjoy this time and pick up as much responsibility as you can. It will help you be better citizens and better leaders and show up in a better way in every work you do, because you are coordinating calling speakers, booking spaces, figuring out cars, figuring out food. All this skill is nothing that is taught in textbooks. All this skill will make you who you are. So double down on it and pick up as many internships.
Thank you so much. I know.